Hi everyone, let's talk about Aries season. It's coming up imminently. It's happening on either the 19th or the 20th of March, depending on where you are in the world. For us in the UK on GMT, the sun will move into Aries at 3:07 a.m. on the 20th of March, okay? And this is, of course, marking the start of a new astrological year. We're closing out Pisces season, which is a 12th house in astrology, and we're going to then be resetting to this new astrological year with Aries season. And of course, Aries represents the first house in astrology. So kickstarting a completely new cycle in that respect. And it may be feeling at the moment as if, certainly where the energy is concerned, it may be feeling like you're closing out a lot of stuff before we get into Aries season. And of course, Aries is all about that fire energy. It's all about taking action. It's going after what we want. And being the first house in astrology, of course, it's very representative of the self. So, of course, it's driven by the self, what we want to achieve, what we want to go in the direction of, and having the courage to go after that. Now, of course, the caveat with this is it depends on everything else going on in your chart. So the chart I'm going to pull up is based on the transits of the moment the sun ingresses into Aries. But of course, we need to look at the other factors at play, and our own natal charts are unique. So it's going to impact us in different ways, of course. That needs to be said. But Aries is certainly going to give us that motivation to take action. Okay, that's what the energy is assisting us with. And a couple of days after this happens, we've got Mars moving into the sign of Pisces, okay, joining Venus there, who's there already. And a couple of days after that, on the 24th, we have got the equinox. The day after, we have got the full moon in Libra with lunar eclipse. So from the recent new moon that we had, there has been this sort of activation portal. That's what it's felt like, and you may have resonated with that. Well, eclipses can also serve as activation points. So we're in this kind of window of opportunity, if you like, by closing out the stuff we've needed to within Pisces season, and of course, moving into Aries, driven with that courage and the sovereignty to take action. Okay, so it's helping us, the energy is helping us, but there are activation points going off. Okay, and certainly with the full moon that will be coming up not long after the sun moves into Aries, of course, that's going to shine a light on certain things. It's going to activate certain things with the eclipse, but it's also great for releasing. And full moon in Libra could relate to relationships, okay? But when we think of Libra as in the ruler of the 7th house, that's not just relationships with people. This is relationships with places and with things. So it's not like the 11th house of connections with others, in that respect. This is about any relationship we might have with anything, anybody. So looking at that as well as part of this. Now, of course, I will be covering this in a separate astrology report, so I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole with the full moon at this point. But just know that's coming up. And you may already be able to feel it's coming up because we are in this activation window or activation portal, okay, in terms of the energy. So I'm going to pull up the chart, and then I'm also going to show you the chart against the UK's chart, okay, just to give some context for the house system. But bearing in mind, this is, of course, based on my intuitive interpretations of the transits that we see and that which I'm guided to show you as well. Okay, so let's jump in. All right. And also, when I looked at the charts earlier, so let me just find the chart for you. When I looked at it earlier, there were 3 words that came to me: expansion, luck, and fortune. Okay. So we need to bear that in mind as part of this process. Okay. Right, it's that one. There we go. Okay, so this chart, freeze frame of the cosmos at the time that the sun ingresses into Aries, kickstarting Aries season. So again, for the UK on GMT, that's 3:07 a.m. on the 20th. So in America, it's actually going to be happening during the evening of the 19th. So anybody who is an Aries, who's got their birthday on the 19th or the 20th, that cusp, it might be worth looking at your solar return, because of course your solar return could be at any point, really. It doesn't have to be on the same day as your birthday. And this is because, well, let's face it, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but when you look at the calendar, and this year we've got a leap year. So the days are not going to be the same. So this is why, looking at astrology, you can see when the sun actually returns to the same degrees as when you were born. And that's not reliant on a man-made calendar. That's reliant on the universal process, if you like. So I'm not going to go diving deep into that, but you might want to look at that if you are a cusper in terms of Aries with those dates. Okay. Anyhow, let's get back to the chart. So sun in Aries, 3:07 a.m. And you'll see many lines as always, but there's a lot more going on. These are just the ones that I've been drawn to and guided to talk about. Okay. And we've got that lovely triangle in the middle, and I am going to come on to that. But first of all, let's just look at the sun. Okay. So the sun in Aries, brilliant. 0 degrees. This is the point when the sun moves out of Pisces into Aries, kickstarting our new astrological year for us. Okay, this new cycle. And the wisdom that we've learned during Pisces season is obviously going to help us move forward in this way. Okay, certainly getting in touch with our intuition and what our intuition has been telling us. Remember, Saturn is still in Pisces, so we are still learning lessons that relate to our spiritual truth. Okay, that's going to carry on for a little while longer, maybe a couple of years, you know. So we have got that still with us. We're still learning the lessons, but essentially, okay, we're now in Aries. This is about taking action. And from a soul perspective, because the sun is in Aries, this is that soul essence of the drive, that drive towards honoring our sovereignty. And I say that because in Aries, we've also got Chiron in Aries, which represents the healing journey collectively. Okay, the North Node in Aries. So that's, of course, where we're heading towards in terms of our purpose as a collective. And Mercury in Aries, communication and expression when it comes to speaking up with that authority for ourselves. Okay, so the sun is now adding to this energy, is heightening the energy, and is supporting the energy of us standing in our sovereignty from a soul essence perspective. Okay, and certainly where we're heading in terms of our purpose, that is towards our sovereignty, being the leaders of our own lives. And this is also our healing journey because Chiron's there. So we've had to heal a lot in order to get to this point of recognizing our sovereignty, acknowledging it, accepting it, and then embodying it. And Mercury in Aries is enabling us to speak up for ourselves in this respect. It's fire energy. Okay, so it gives us that confidence, okay, in our expression, and really, you know, that kind of empowered communication, I suppose, coming from a sovereign soul in that respect. So we've got a lot going on in Aries, but we've still got a lot of energy in Pisces because we've got Saturn there, as I said, serving up the lessons, as we know, Neptune, who is at home in Pisces, so really enabling us to get in touch with our intuition here and that mystical, magical side of that source energy, that divinity that's running through us. And Venus as well. Okay, so the divine feminine essence, let's not forget, Mars will also be joining Venus in Pisces a couple of days after this happens. So there is that kind of reunion of sorts of the masculine and feminine within, but from an ethereal place, because they'll both be in Pisces at that point. So there is that balance of them being in the same sign. But this is about, okay, taking action in relation to our divinity in that way, from that soul perspective, and how our intuition is guiding us forward, but also where we've had to look at, you know, where we are investing our resources, and are they in alignment with our spiritual truth as well? Okay, because there's only 2 degrees difference between Venus and Saturn at this point, so they're close. So Venus is helping serve up the Saturnian lessons in that way by allowing us to focus on the heart chakra, the Venus energy, where we are giving that energy, and are we receiving it back? Where do we need to perhaps get more in alignment with that? Okay, that's just something to bear in mind. Okay, so with the sun, we have got a few things of note here. So the first thing to mention is there is a harmonious trine going to the moon And the moon will be in Leo at this point, 3 degrees of Leo. So this is all about, you know, that feeling, because the moon is the emotional home, the feeling of being seen and being recognized, because it's Leo energy. And that's very out there. Okay. It is the courageous lion, but it's all about the recognition of that authentic soul expression. Okay. And this trine is beautiful because, of course, Aries is fire and Leo is fire. So there is really that motivation here between the soul and between our feelings in terms of being seen and being recognized for doing what we want, for going after what we want. Okay, that motivation is driving us to feel seen and recognized because we're actually taking action, we're doing things. Okay, or we've put plans in motion to do things. Do you see where I'm coming from with the Aries energy? So we're feeling recognized. Okay, and that's obviously a good feeling. That's a good feeling. We're feeling more fired up and more confident, because Leo can be very confident as well. So we've got that confidence within our feelings to also help motivate us to take action. So that's why it's a harmonious trine between the two. Okay, it's a two-way street. And there is also a sextile from the Sun to Pluto. So this is also helping support the deep transformation that we're going through. And let's not forget, with Pluto in Aquarius, this is, you know, the age of Aquarius, and Pluto is really asking us to transform on a profound level, because remember, Pluto is not surface level stuff. This is deep. So it's deeply transforming our reality here, because he is in Aquarius and he's been in Capricorn trying to sort of trudge up and really regenerate us out of systems and structures, Capricorn, that don't work for us anymore. And therefore, it is a new way of being. It's our new reality. So the sextile is also a harmonious aspect. And with the Sun there now in Aries and working in harmony with the moon, okay, so by feeling motivated and inspired to take action towards what we want because of that wisdom that we have received and obtained within our soul, it's also allowing us to facilitate this deep transformation towards this new reality that we want to experience. Because in order to experience a new reality, one that we want, fire energy, we need to take action to go towards it. Okay, so this is where all of that ties in. Now, there is a square that's going to Vesta in Gemini. So the challenging energy could be around this pinning down of what our sacred flame energy is. Okay, so we know we want our reality to change. We know where our intuition has been telling us that things need to change and where we've got to get into alignment with certain aspects, etc. But we may not be 100% sure, because we might still be investigating that Gemini energy, what is actually inspiring us fully to create. And this is feminine energy. Okay, so we've got that drive now, the Aries energy, which is quite masculine, but we need to also understand that the feminine energy of creating is what we need to balance with as well. But if we're still investigating, we're still being open to being curious about what is inspiring us, okay, because we've not pinned it down 100%. It could just be providing challenging energy. But what I will say is there is a trine from Vesta across to Mars. So even though it might feel challenging, this is reliance on us taking action, because Vesta is in trine to Mars, and that's all about action. Mars is ruled by Aries, okay? And Mars is in Aquarius at this point, okay? He will be moving into Pisces, as I mentioned, but at this point, he's in Aquarius. So taking action to pave the way for this new reality that is innovative, it's a new way of being, and it could relate to how we connect with others, because, of course, Aquarius does rule the 11th house, and it is to do with connections with others, but taking action in terms of the unique reality that we want to experience based on who we are as unique sovereign souls. So when we can understand that and we know what does inspire us, by us taking action towards that, this is what brings that harmony and allows it to be less challenging, okay? But if we're still a bit sort of, okay, it's still got to look into this a little bit, that's fine, but it could just explain why there is a bit of challenging energy in the mix, because it's reliance on taking action. That's where the harmony is. That's where the trine is between Vesta and Mars. It's reliant on taking action, okay, in some way. So that's what I would say to that going on, okay? And you'll see this orange line. Hopefully it appears orange on the screen, but this is showing a quincunx, okay? So it's an in conjunction between the South Node in Libra and Jupiter in Taurus. So this is saying that there's no harmony really between these two at this particular moment. They're not working together. So this is relating to, you know, the South Node, the foundation of where we've come from, but also the foundation that we're wanting to lay as being fair and reciprocal, Libra, okay, is kind of not working in harmony with this expansion that we want to see in our worth and values. Well, why is that? It could be because there is still some karma being cleansed, because that's been a theme that's been coming up recently in the astrology and in the energy. So therefore, that's challenging the expansion because we're having to cleanse things first. But it's a natural byproduct of it, because as we are clearing and cleansing the karma, closing out certain cycles, transforming the energy, transmuting the energy, whatever we need to do to heal with that, of course, that's going to allow expansion, because we're becoming more in situ with our worth, and we're knowing and honoring our values in that respect. Okay, so Taurus energy there. And the inner growth is naturally happening. And so the external growth is going to follow to match that, because our internal condition is reflected back to us in our external reality. Okay, so in order to see expansion in our world, we need to allow the expansion within ourselves. So we need to be fair with ourselves, because also with the South Node in Libra, we're trying to deal with what's been coming up. We're trying to understand where we've come from, even if it's just from this lifetime, okay? But if it's resonating for you from past lifetimes, we're understanding where we've come from, why certain patterns have been coming up, why certain situations have presented themselves in this present moment to deal with. And quite often it's because there is some past life karma or karma that needs to be dealt with, okay, in order to be released and transmuted. So that then allows us to lay this fair foundation that is based on equal give and take, reciprocity, and justice, okay, Libra energy, and potentially within our relationships, Libra, okay? But we've had to accept this is where we've come from, and that might have just caused a bit of a disharmony with the expansion that we are experiencing within our worth and values, because we're having to sort of take a pause at each moment to understand, right, okay, that's what's coming up. This is a pattern from the past or a past life. This is the karma associated with it. I accept it. I acknowledge it. This is what Saturn is teaching me about this particular thing, because it's a lesson as well. And now I've just got to take a bit of a status check on my worth and values to understand how I feel about this situation, what it is teaching me, what I need to do with this, how I'm going to move forward. So it's almost like us taking those moments to deal with it are almost like the checkpoints of us checking in with our worth and values, if that makes sense. That's how it feels. So there is a bit of a natural disharmony, because we've got to take that sort of pause to do it. But it's almost like a natural disharmony in that moment. It's almost like we need to deal with that separately to then allow for the expansion. Yeah, does that make sense? That's how it feels intuitively to me. Okay, so if we're aware of it, we know what it's showing us in the astrology and how it can be making us feel because of what's going on. But it's also a necessary separation in that moment, because through that, we can deal with what we need to deal with. And then that's going to naturally bring back the harmony in the situation. Okay, that's how it feels. All right. And there's also some opposition energy going on. And I've not drawn the line here, but just generally between Pisces and opposite sign of Virgo, okay? Because immediately when I first looked at the chart, I saw the heavy lines going straight through diagonally the middle, okay? And that's just highlighting that opposition energy. So we've still got the push-pull type energy when it comes to Pisces, the ethereal realms, up in the clouds, the dreamer, and Virgo, the realist, feet on the ground, okay, reality check time. But not only that, this has been about bringing our dreams into reality, part of this new reality we're wanting to experience for ourselves. So it's part of this deep transformation. So it might not be easy because it's deep. We're trying to bring our dreams into our reality. And that can feel like that's unachievable because it's just a dream. No. If we understand the power that we hold within to manifest our reality, and trust me, there are lots of factors involved to this. Okay, we can't just go around saying this, that, and the other, and then expect it to land in our lap. Okay, I'm not saying that. But this is about understanding that the potential is there to bring our dreams into our reality. Because especially now as well, we're in Aries season, we can take action. We can feel that motivation of being seen, being recognized for who we are as a sovereign being, and we can then implement what we need to in order to bring our dreams into reality. The push-pull energy is that challenge of, no, that's just a dream, got to keep my feet on the ground. Or from the Virgo side, it's got to look like this, it's got to be like this. And the Pisces energy saying, no, you can create whatever you want. It's your vision board. Okay, so that's where the two butt heads a bit, but the one needs the other. Okay, so I'll leave it there for that. But there's also opposition between Pluto in Aquarius with the moon in Leo. So yes, that feeling of being recognized and the motivations that we feel inside is just kind of, I wouldn't even say butting heads with this one. I feel that it is more like that with the Virgo Pisces energy for the reasons I've mentioned. But this is about, the deep transformation. And so it's going to feel challenging because it's deep. And this is about a new way of being. So that can challenge our motivation sometimes because we're needing to experience change, but we've also got to adapt to change. So we can feel inspired and motivated to take action. And then something might happen that throws us off a bit because we're like, can this ever be achievable? So it's just this challenging energy to watch out for, because it's a deep transformation that we're going through here, and we have been for a while. But this is all about a new reality. So we're having to change. It's almost forcing us to change for our highest good, by the way. Okay, it's not a bad thing, but it's big change. So that can have an effect, an impact on our feelings, the moon, our emotional home. Okay, that's why that's showing up, I feel. Okay, it's not the butting heads of the Pisces Virgo, but it's still opposition energy. Okay, is what I would say to that. Now we have got that triangle that I mentioned before, and there's an extra line that's there, and it's a bit messy on here, so apologies for that, but I wanted to make it clear that there were actually two lines going across, because the triangle itself relates to Ceres in Capricorn, Juno in Virgo, okay, and Jupiter in Taurus. So it's an earth triangle, it's an earth trine. Okay, there's also a trine from Ceres to Pars Fortuna, the pot of fortune, and Lilith. Okay, but I'll come on to that in a moment. Let's focus on the triangle. Okay, so it's Earth. This is about reality. Okay, this is about reality. Ceres, divine feminine energy. Juno, divine feminine energy. Jupiter, masculine energy. Okay, Ceres, asteroid or a dwarf planet, okay, however you want to perceive Ceres to be. Juno, asteroid. Jupiter, gas giant planet, okay. So the powerful one here is Jupiter, but they're all working in harmony, okay. But what we've got is we've got Juno, who's actually in retrograde, and I've attributed Juno to kind of relate to committed partnerships, supportive partnerships, because Juno stands for love and marriage. So this could relate to a marriage. It doesn't have to, but a marriage is a commitment. And there's been a lot in the astrology recently about soul contracts. And that is a commitment. That is a commitment that is ordained by the divine. Okay. And whether you believe the concept or not, okay, this is about predestined soul contracts, predetermined before we incarnate here on Earth. Because we already know what lessons we're going to go through, okay? But it's about remembering, because of course, you know, there's a lot that happens when we incarnate here, okay? There's a lot of conditioning, programming. We don't know who we are, and then we're remembering who we are, okay? Again, that's going deep. But if it's resonating for you, it's resonating for you. So Juno, I'm very much feeling this is to do with loving, supportive partnerships, loving, commitments, loving, soul contracts that's got love at the base of it, okay, that don't have to be romantic. This is about coming from a place of unconditional love, okay? So these soul contracts, committed partnerships, supportive partnerships, there is great potential here for expansion, because we've got Ceres, who also represents expansion. There's nurturing qualities as well because of the divine feminine energy. But Jupiter is also major expansion, luck and fortune. Okay. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So that is all about the quest, expansion. Where are we shooting that arrow in the direction of? You know, what have we learned on our journey? There's great expansion to it because it's the quest. And Jupiter was also the original ruler of Pisces before Neptune was discovered. So there is a spiritual aspect here as well, which is why I'm emphasizing about soul contracts. Okay. This is an earth triangle, an earth trine, as I mentioned. So this is about reality. This is about what's playing out in the reality. The potentiality here of expansion and luck within soul contracts, committed relationships, supportive partnerships, okay, that have that underpinning of love, okay? And there is a nurturing quality to them as well. And it's how they are actually manifesting in the reality. Now, remember, this is the potentiality because it's based on the energy of what's in the astrology, as above, so below. But we have got free will in this lifetime, in this 3D reality. And free will can determine certain things, okay? We can be course corrected. We might have to go on a detour. Free will is a gift, but the power of our free will can really shape our reality, okay? Because ultimately we're in the driving seat. We're in the driving seat of this. And this is why, with the sun being in Aries, we've got that capacity within us to take action towards what we want, because it's about the self with Aries. This is about driving forward with what we want to experience, okay? So if this is not resonating at all, then that's fine. It's not resonating. But if it is, then there is potential here for expansion and luck. How that comes about? Well, this is through also shadow work. This has been a theme that's been coming up as well for a while. And notice that Lilith, also in Virgo, is also in trine to Ceres, okay? So there is this nurturing within the feminine energy of the shadow work that's being done, regardless of gender, okay? This is just the feminine energy of the asteroids, and it's showing that there's nurturing going on. But of course, Lilith in Virgo could be bringing up shadow aspects of perfectionism and the need to be in control of every little thing, which is why there is that opposition energy to Pisces. And Pisces is saying, look, you can create anything you want. You can create a magical experience for yourself. Okay, let's bring it into reality. And the Virgo energy is a bit like, well, it needs to look like that. It needs to be like that. I need to feel in control of this. It has to be this way. Okay, which is controlling the outcome of what the divine wants to bring. So surrender is needed here, but that's easier said than done, of course. But being so close to Juno, you know, there's definitely been shadow work going on within these soul contracts. So this is fears and wounds that have been coming up within these supportive partnerships, within these soul contracts. And I've said this for a while in my other reports. And we're being nurtured through this by Ceres. And there has been expansion because of the shadow work as well. It's allowed for a bit of expansion, okay? But Jupiter's not in the mix here because Jupiter just has the trine that's going to Juno, okay? So it's not the major expansion because that might be too overwhelming, okay? That's what it feels like. But Ceres is offering a little bit of expansion because of the shadow work that's been done. And it's almost like, I want to say, steady as she goes. Okay, that's what was just given to me, steady as she goes. It's kind of like step by step. All right, let's not overwhelm ourselves. Let's address the shadow aspects that are coming up that need to be acknowledged and healed. They're coming up for a reason. Lilith is a great teacher in that respect. And we need to understand that maybe we need to not be as demanding of being in control of every little outcome, to go more with the flow of it. And that takes work because we have to understand why we've got that need to be in control. Is it because of fear of rejection, or the fear of actually being open to receive a soul contract such as this, a supportive partnership, because maybe other partnerships haven't been supportive? So it's almost like a fear of trust with it, which is why the control aspect comes in. Okay, it could be something like that. So there is expansion to this. And with that Capricornian energy of Ceres, so let's just bring that into the mix. That's that drive to achieve. Okay, Capricorn can be devoid of emotion because ruled by Saturn, it's all about getting the job done. Okay, but think about boundaries here, because Saturn is also very good at putting rules in place, putting structure in place, putting boundaries in place. So through the shadow work that we're addressing, we might be understanding that we're needing to put boundaries in place in order to facilitate these supportive partnerships manifesting into our reality, okay? Because boundaries haven't been there before and maybe they're needed. And the shadow work is what's showing us this, okay? Because past Fortuna is there, the pot of fortune. So that is bringing us that insight, okay? So the fortune in that respect feels like insight into that, that's going to enable that expansion within a soul contract that Jupiter is then going to bring, and the luck and fortune that Jupiter can bring, okay, from that. Okay, that's how that feels to me. So it's very powerful when you look at it like that, because we address these fears and these wounds, and also Lilith can show us our deep desires. So there may be something within the Lilith energy that we're needing to look at, okay, that again, rules and boundaries might be needed. So Ceres in Capricorn could be helping nurture us through the implementation of boundaries and setting our own rules. So, okay, Lilith in Virgo might be showing us why we need to feel in control of certain things to feel comfortable. So let's be regimented about it and let's nurture ourselves through this. but let's be regimented and actually say, okay, in order to feel comfortable about going with the flow, okay, and laying off the control a bit, we need to maybe have a bit of a rule in place. We need to have a boundary in place here. And once those shadow aspects are addressed, it enables that expansion, okay, and it enables more of that flow into the supportive partnership, into the soul contract, that is then going to enable the Jupiter expansion that I mentioned. Because with Jupiter and Taurus, let's not forget, it relates to worth and values. So by us putting those boundaries in place, we're acknowledging our worth, we're honoring our values, and we still want to feel, you know, in control without being controlling of it. And that's what's going to enable that expansion, because we've understood, we've got the memo on that one. Okay. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. Is it's certainly allowing for us, you know, Aries season. And of course, there's going to be different aspects going on in the astrology each day. But with the sun moving in at this point, and this is kickstarting it for Aries season, the potentiality for Aries season in that respect is we can take action towards what we want. We can feel seen and recognized and motivated to profoundly transform into this new reality that we want to experience, because we've got that drive and that gusto to take action based on the wisdom that we've learnt, okay, based on the work that we're still doing to make Saturn happy, the lessons we're learning, karma we're cleansing, okay, and then understanding that we do need to have those checkpoints where we almost separate ourselves momentarily from this foundation we're laying, just have a checkpoint on worth and values and how we are almost aligning with it, but adjusting to it where we need to, okay? And by that I mean, if we've identified something that's no longer in alignment with our worth and values, are we changing it? Are we detaching from it? You know, so we need that checkpoint to focus, to go within, to understand, to allow for that change and to allow for that expansion. That's the inner growth that's then reflected back to us externally. But of course, as I've just mentioned, the shadow work is also important, and honoring that love and beauty that we hold within our soul as well, because the moon is also in trine to Pallas, and I've not drawn the line, but you can see it here, okay, between the moon and Pallas. There is a line. So Pallas, Athena, also divine feminine asteroid, represents love and beauty and is in the sign of Sagittarius. So that discovery of the love and beauty that we hold within us is also enabling us to feel seen and recognized, because once we hold it within us, it's reflected back to us in our external reality. Okay, so this is all part of the quest that we've been on, and honoring our sovereignty is a massive part of this, and Aries represents sovereignty, so let's be sovereign in that case. Okay, right, let's stop sharing that one and let's pull up the UK's chart. Okay, so you'll see here, this is, again, freeze frame of the cosmos at the time of the sun moving into Aries. And I've got the UK's natal chart there as the inner wheel. So it's just to give you context on the house system, and do the same with your natal chart. It can give you an idea of what's happening in your house system, okay? And as I've said many times before, astrology is unique, natal charts are unique. It is the soul's blueprint, okay? So this is about understanding that you might have a house with 2 signs in it, 3 signs in it. You might have, I don't know, it's just fascinating, okay? But this is just to give you some context, looking at it from the UK's perspective as the collective energy, if you like. So the sun will actually be ingressing into Aquarius in the 9th house, but you can see that the sun is right by the line there, so right on the cusp with the 10th house. So the 9th house is Sagittarius's house. So that is about the quest, learning and discovery. So we've done that with Pisces, and there is Pisces energy in the 9th house. So that's very symbolic of that. We've actually understood the wisdom that we've acquired within and from our intuition, okay, that Pisces energy. and the lessons that we're learning, okay, because we are learning them. So very good placement for Saturn to be in the ninth house there. And the sun is now, you know, that soul essence of, right, the drive to take action based on that wisdom that's been acquired. And of course, over the course of Aries season, the sun is going to be moving. We know this happens, but the sun will imminently be in the 10th house for the UK. So that's inner authority and work. So we've understood where we need to take action from a soul perspective. And then, you know, that sun energy, massive expansive force in the cosmos, is going to move into the 10th house to say, okay, we've understood what we need to do. Now, this is all about inner authority. Well, sovereignty right here. This is what I need to do. And supporting that energy that's there of the North Node, Mercury and Chiron. So supporting the healing journey when it comes to our sovereignty and speaking up. And it all pertains to our inner authority. Okay, so it's very, very motivational and empowering. This is how we need to see this. It's motivational and empowering for us. Okay, so obviously I've drawn some of the aspects on here, and appreciate with the two charts together, it's a smaller circle in the middle and it can look quite messy. But just to give you an indication of the opposition energy is between the ninth house and the third house. So that's where that kind of butting heads of dream versus reality, but actually we need each other here, is about our expression and communication of that, and also what we've learned. So by learning this, we can then communicate and express what it is we need to bring our dreams into reality in that way, and how the Pisces Virgo energy can actually work together in harmony rather than against each other. Okay. Then we've got the moon and Pluto. Well, the moon is actually in the first house of the self, and Pluto is in the 7th house of relationships with people, places, things. So that kind of deep, profound transformation that's needed in our relationships with people, places, things, because remember, this is forging that new way, that new reality. Well, our relationships with people might need to change in order to create this new reality. Our relationship with a place might need to change because maybe we've outgrown an area. Okay, and that's no longer going to be our new reality. And relationships with things, whatever that might be, food, our thoughts, you know, that needs to change because it's not in alignment with our new reality. And how that opposition with the first house, okay, so we need to focus on the self in terms of our motivation and feeling like we're being recognized as a sovereign being, with that courage, with that true authentic expression of self, and how that's kind of opposing this profound transformation that's needed within our relationships. So we've got to focus on the two. We need to focus on the self first and foremost, but as a result of that, how our reality needs to change in our relationships with people, places, and things. Okay. That separation or disharmony, okay, between the South Node in Libra is the 4th house with Jupiter, in the 11th house. So this is, you know, our foundations versus our connections with others. And when we look at Jupiter, so worth and values, okay, where is growth in our connections with others? What connections with others are actually expanding our growth, our inner growth? How are we actually expanding our values when we're connecting with others? Are there certain groups of people that allow us to expand our values, to honor our worth in that way? And how that might just be challenging the foundations that we're wanting to lay, because we're wanting them to be fair and reciprocal. So there might be connections with others that are not allowing that expansion. Do you see where I'm coming from? So that's where change is needed. And of course, Uranus is also there in the 11th house as well. So that's what facilitates that. But that's the checkpoint of looking at connections with others and where that expansion is happening and where it's not happening. Okay, in that way. So that pertains to that. With the sun and the moon, of course, in trine, that's between the 1st house and the 9th house. So again, it's like what we've learned and discovered, 9th house, about the self, 1st house, is enabling for this motivation and this drive to take action, because we're learning things. It is a journey of evolution anyway, but it's been particularly pertinent because of this deep, heavy transformation we've been going through and the karma that's been coming up for cleansing. So we've learned a lot. So we need to be proud of ourselves for that. But that's why it's harmonious, because that learning, that discovery, that wisdom has helped us empower ourselves more to be recognized for who we are, to be seen for who we are as a sovereign soul. Okay. And the trine, of course, is between the 3rd house, 11th house, and the 6th house. So we know, yes, expression and communication, and also connections with others, 6th house, daily routines and schedules, but also where we are of service to people, okay, where we are of service to others. So again, with soul contracts, connections with others, where we're of service to others, and our expression. So it is all about our expression here, and how the shadow work that we've been doing in our daily routines has not only helped our well-being in that respect, because we're addressing certain things that need to be, addressed, but it's working in harmony with our expression, because as we become more comfortable with those shadow aspects and knowing where they come from, and we've dealt with them, okay, we've nurtured ourselves through these lessons, we've put the boundaries in place. So daily routines and schedules, we might need to have rules in place, we might need to have boundaries in place. Where we're of service to others, we might need to have boundaries, okay, and that's going to facilitate our connections with others to the 11th house and allow for that expansion, Jupiter, when it comes to our worth and values, Taurus energy, and how we can express ourselves within our soul contracts and supportive partnerships, okay, and that's all going to work in harmony. But by having boundaries in place, rules in place, being quite regimented about the shadow work that we need to do to facilitate that, okay. So there we go. That's to give you some insight there. So I have got some divination tools, no tarot for today. Okay, I will timestamp all of this as well. But first of all, Star Codes Astro. So we'll see if we've got any additional messages for the collective, okay, from the Star Codes Astro deck in relation to Aries season. Okay, and we know the energy is going to ebb and flow. It's always fluid, and free will is always at play, as we know. But let's just see if we've got some general advice for the collective for Aries season. Okay, what do we have, please, for Aries season? There we go. Okay, that one and one more, please. That one with a flipper. Okay, the flipper was Mercury. And you know what's made me think? That on the 1st of April, Mercury is actually going to be going retrograde. So the pre-shadow phase will already be in play at this point when the sun moves into Aries, okay? So there is something to be said for that. That's just what I was feeling straight away. But that flipped out. So this is about communication, expression, okay? And what I was saying about that trine. So it relates to that. But we've got solar calm, clarify. That could also pertain to this with the communication. So maybe you need to clarify something, clear something up. Ascendant, entrance. Okay, so that is our ascendant, is our rising sign. And that is what we portray to others. That's how people see us. Okay, so we might be, and I'll use Aries as an example, you might be an Aries sun sign. That's your zodiac sign. Your rising might be Aries as well, but your rising might be Gemini. It could be Taurus. It could be another sign. So you've got that within your soul essence, but how you portray yourself and how others see you could be different. Okay, so some people might say, oh yeah, you're actually a Taurus, aren't you? And it's like, oh no, I'm an Aries, but my rising is Taurus, for example. So bear that in mind. Okay, so how, I suppose what I'm trying to say, because what feels like it's coming through now is be mindful of how others might see you in that way, especially where communication is in the mix, okay? And that could be why clarification is needed, because of not wanting to muddy the waters, not wanting to cause confusion, unnecessary confusion. That's something that's coming through. This is also about making an entrance because of what it says on the card here. Okay. So we're wanting to go into this Aries season, making an entrance. We're wanting to actually be like, right, I'm driven. I am going towards this. I need to take action. Okay. And taking action can even be putting a plan in place. Okay. But it can be literal action. And also no action is action as well. That's what I heard. So take it as you will. Take it as you will. But this is about making an entrance in alignment with who we are as sovereign beings. Okay. Making an entrance as a sovereign being. Well, that's king, queen energy, isn't it? That's regal energy. So this is about understanding who you are and making an entrance, going after what you want. Okay. But also being mindful of how others portray you. Okay. Because if you're needing to demonstrate your true authentic self as a sovereign being as well, then this is about being true to you, not what you think others expect from you. Okay, that's the message there. And the other card that came out is this conjunction alliance. Okay, because when planetary bodies are conjunct, there is an alliance between them, and it does heighten the energy. But this feels like it's to do with working together. So look at that Pisces energy and Virgo energy that I mentioned. Okay, there is a butting of heads, it feels, but there is also this alliance that's needed between the two to bring the dreams into reality. Okay, but also to allow more of a flow and surrender rather than needing to be in control of everything. There is an alliance between the energy working together in that way. Okay, on the bottom, we have got Leo. And look at that lion roar. Okay. It says on this card, shine. So this is about shining as that true, authentic soul essence. Okay. Being seen, being recognized, and feeling seen, feeling recognized with the moon in Leo, like we just saw on the chart. Okay. But that's by being your true, authentic self. Okay. And that's in the hidden energy. So you might have to really find that kind of inner lion, that courageous lion, in order to make that regal entrance in that way. Okay, beautiful. Let's go for the wisdom of the oracle. And let's see what we have from the wisdom of the oracle, please. Wisdom of the oracle, please, for Aries season, for the collective. It's interesting. Let's get two more, please. Okay. We actually got more than two. Okay. Right. First one, the one that I said was interesting, is we've got here and now. This is all about being present, because we don't want to focus too much on the past. We want to, of course, gain the wisdom and carry that forward from the past, but we don't want to be still living in it. Okay. And we also don't want to be caught up in what is going to happen. What about this? What about that? And this is easier said than done. Okay. To be present, to be in the here and now, to birth something in the here and now. This is this window of opportunity. Okay. This activation portal, if you like, being in the present moment. And this has come out a couple of times before. Why? So you might be asking yourself, why am I having to go through all of these lessons? Why is this so hard? Why does this energy feel so challenging? And you're not alone if you're feeling like that, okay? Because the energy has been intense, because it's profound transformation that we're going through. And this is a new reality that we are needing to experience, okay? As a collective, this is something that needs to happen for our highest good, but we have to detach from old. So again, it's about using the wisdom of why, remembering why we're going through all of this. We don't want to set ourselves back, do we, on our healing journey when we've come so far? And this is about now honoring the sovereignty within. So understand the reason why we're doing it. We're striving for that sovereignty, to be the leaders of our own life, okay? To set our own rules, to set our own boundaries in that way. Okay. Then we've got round and round, because cycles that are not serving us need to end. We can't keep going round and round and round. Now, what Saturn will teach us is, if we've not learnt the lesson, we will go round again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. And it will come back to us in a different way, but it's the same lesson. And if any of you have experienced this, you'll know when I say it's harder the second time around. It's even harder the third time around, but we need to learn the lesson. So that's why it's intense. Okay. So again, it's all for our highest good, but it can feel intense. This is about now saying, I don't want to keep going round and round. This is about now moving forward in that regal way, that sovereign way. Okay. Being present in the moment to birth something new without focusing on the past, without questioning why this is going on, you know, understanding the reasons why, but not questioning it in a way of, why is this happening to me? Again, easier said than done. Let's detach from the cycles that are not serving us so we don't have to repeat those lessons. And let's build something that is worthy of our sovereignty. Okay, this is about moving forward and building those blocks to help us. This is about building that foundation that's fair, that's equal, that's balanced, that's got justice written all over it, you know, because of where we've come from. So let's strive for that, okay, rather than continuously going around the loop that's not serving us. Because at the end of it, and this is beautiful, we're not just happy, we're happy, happy. And notice how she's holding a star there. So when I think of the star in tarot, that is about rebirth. Okay, there's a lot of healing to that as well. It's almost like a kind of reset point within the major arcana of the tarot, and it comes after the tower. Okay, and the tower is all about that significant change, and it can be unexpected. It disrupts and it destructs what's not serving to allow us to build anew. Okay, and then you get the rebirth. And also what I'm drawn to, and even though I've not got tarot here, I'm kind of, you know, I'm visualizing these tarot cards as well, is the Hermit, because in the traditional Rider-Waite, Universal Weight, the Hermit is actually carrying a star in the lantern. I'm sure it's in that deck anyway. I'm questioning myself now. But definitely there is a tarot deck where the Hermit is carrying a star in the lantern. It might even be Lightseer's tarot. I'm going to have to check that because that's going to annoy me. But essentially, you get the point. This is about finding the star within us and lighting our own path forward. And I bring Hermit into it because that is about introspection, going in the cave, doing that inner work, introspecting, gaining the wisdom, and then lighting your own path with the lantern out of the cave to move forward. Okay, so this has got rebirth energy, but ultimately happy, happy, double happiness. Okay, and that's what we want to feel. We want to feel joy. We want to feel the blessings of life. And so this is about, and she's on an egg as well, so birthing something new for ourselves. This is all about this new reality we're trying to create for ourselves and believing that that can be what we want it to be. Okay, rather than what people tell us it should be. This is about what we want it to be. So of course we're going to feel happy if it's come from us, because it's in alignment with our truth, and that's what Saturn wants for us as well. Okay, so there you go, happy, happy. On the bottom is actually exchanging gifts. So that's recognizing that you are the gift. We are all the gift we can give ourselves. Okay, it goes back to self-love, but we are the gift, because if we can create that for ourselves, that's amazing. Okay, but we need to detach from these loops, these cycles that are not serving us. Carry the wisdom forward from the past, understand why we need to break those cycles as well. Okay, lovely. Finally, let's go to the sovereign deck, Queen of the Moon. And if we get sovereignty, well, that is just going to blow me away. Let's see what we've got. Okay, and I am shuffling it, as you can see. Let's see what we've got, please, for the collective for Aries season, which is a very sovereign season. Okay. What do we have, please? For Aries season, what do the collective need to know, please? There we go. Right. Okay. So we've got hunger, we've got fruition, and we've got action. Okay. Simple message coming through here. Having that hunger and desire for a new reality of what we want and taking the action to go get it and liberating ourselves enough to do that is going to bring that fruition and growth, the fruits of our labor. Okay. To reap the rewards of our harvest, if you like. On the bottom, focus. Yeah, so focus is needed. And remember, this is transformative. And I'm also drawn here because she's in a bit of a bubble. So going back to boundaries, there's something about boundaries here. We need to have focus, but we need to also have boundaries in place. That's going to enable us to move forward in those supportive partnerships. Okay, that's going to enable even more transformation to take place. But we need to just be a bit protective of that. Okay, because new beginnings are here, folks. This is the portal. New beginnings. Okay, new reality. That's what it's all about. Okay, and I know it didn't come out, but I'm going to just find the sovereign card to show you how beautiful it is. See if it's right at the end. So many beautiful messages. Like this deck can really, you know, it's absolutely beautiful. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's the sovereignty card. So, you know, that's ultimately what we're striving towards, this sovereignty, regardless of gender. Okay, I know this is Queen of the Moon deck, but let's be the king or queen of our own reality. That's the regal energy that I was, you know, mentioning. And this is about holding that reality in the palm of our hands to create it, to have that vision, to understand that we have got the power to do that. Okay, to not undersell ourselves in that way. And that's all part of that that self-love and this gift that we can give ourselves in that way. Okay, so that is what I've got for you there from those decks. I might do a tarot reading at some point. With tarot readings at the moment, I'm needing to feel into the energy, okay, because it has been quite intense. So it's understanding the right time when it comes to a tarot reading. In that way, I'm very much driven by the energy, okay, with things like that. With Oracle, it's not as intense, but with tarot, it can be, okay. But these messages certainly tie in with what I've shown you in the astrology, absolutely, because, you know, we are needing to move forward in that sovereign way and to understand the love and beauty that we hold within ourselves to drive us forward, to take action, to create this new reality that we're wanting. And Aries season is the sovereign season, and it's the restart point. You know, it is the first zodiac of the new astrological year. So let's make it count. You know, let's be driven, let's be motivated to take action, even if that is just putting a plan in place of what we want to achieve. Okay, and to be driven for that, but to feel worthy enough of achieving that is very important. And really understanding that, yes, shadow work is still happening, is still going on, but boundaries are a big thing to this. And that's what's going to enable that expansion, but also these soul contracts, supportive partnerships, committed relationships, whatever they might be, if that's resonating for you, because of that earth triangle, okay, because that's bringing it into the reality. But remember, we need to allow that Pisces and Virgo energy to work for us and not against us in that respect as well. So it's a bigger picture. Okay, it's not just one thing to look at, it's a bigger picture. So sending you love and blessings. Happy Aries season when it comes along. And yeah, until the next time, I'll see you soon. Take care. All the best. Bye for now.